Good evening. This is Tennis Hotline. I'm your host, Richard Northern. We're going to be here with you all went along to help your tennis game survive in the city. What is Tennis Hotline? It's a show that needs your participation, and you can participate in two ways. One is Tennis Whiz Quiz, and that number is 473-5386. And the second way is Tennis Hotline, and that number is 473-5386 also. So call in your tennis problems on Tennis Hotline and try to win a gift on Tennis Whiz Quiz. Tonight we have with us research physicist who has invented a fun game for you to play at home. And later on we'll show you a tape that we took this morning of Arthur Ashe at his home. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back after a word from All American Sports.
Spoil yourself with a week at the All-American Sports Tennis Academy at Amelia Island Plantation. Your tennis game will improve dramatically, and you'll have one of those rare, perfect vacations. During your 4 hours of intensive instruction daily, you'll be grouped with 3 fellow students who play on your level. We'll work to improve the game you have now with a private lesson, videotape analysis, and strategy sessions. Afterward, relax in your luxurious villa on the edge of a forest near the ocean. Contact your travel agent or call All American Sports 697-9220.
Tonight we have with us Mario Shafiensky. Mario?
How do you do?
How does a research physicist get interested in a tennis game?
Well, I'm an active player myself, and I felt for a long time tremendous need for a device which can be used by a tennis player at any level in order to exercise at home. And I think the crucial moment was about 2 years ago when I visited a friend's apartment, and they showed me an apartment across the street, and in the living room there was a gentleman in shorts, tennis shirt, sneakers, playing tennis in completely empty, without any furniture living room. And I realized at this moment that if there are people so deeply involved with tennis game that they are really to move all furniture from living room, yes, well, it means that there is a good market potential for a device which can be used by people with, let's say, not so anxious to play tennis at home.
Well, you know, I tell you, we've always emphasized a way to get people to practice and be involved in the game without the great expense of going and playing at indoor courts necessarily. Can you show us how this game works?
Sure. First, let me show Richard what are particular components of this device. So first of all, we have heavy metal base with a counter. Counter counts every correct and strong stroke.
Every shot that's hit
yes,
the center of the racket
yes,
will click there.
Yes. And then to the arm of the counter, there is a rubber thread attached with tennis ball in the middle of it. And at the other end of a rubber thread, there is a rubber ring, which is attached to a hook. Hook, it's with pressure-sensitive pad, can be easily set up to the ceiling like that. So to set up the whole device, it takes 15 seconds, and you can play.
Why don't you show us how it works?
Fine, very good. As you can see,
That's really fantastic.
everything you need is 10 feet in front of you and about 5 feet around you. And you can play in fully furnished living room.
That's really great.
Okay.
Where can one get one of these games? How can
there is a corporation, Ten Game Corporation, which actually manufactures this device, and you can easily order it tonight or during the week, calling number 626-0294. or you can mail your check or money order to address shown on the card.
Well, Mario's has really been nice. I think that game should really sell because it's a great one. Folks, we'll be right back right after this word from Flagship Cruises.
Okay, thank you, Asher.
Of all the ships there are, none is more enjoyable, more majestic, or more gracious than the fabled MS Kungsholm. The Kungsholm was designed and built with one thought in mind, your comfort, and her staff is trained with one thought in mind, your pleasure. The Practice on Board, Play Ashore tennis program on the MS Kungsholm is available on the December 22nd 14-day cruise to the West Indies. Passengers are also provided with gym, swimming pools, indoor and out, sauna, and massage room. No one need return from a Kungsholm cruise feeling deprived of exercise. And now it's time for Whiz Quiz. This is when we ask you a question, and if you call in the right answer within 1 minute, you'll win a prize. After Whiz Quiz, we'll have Tennis Hotline, when you can call Richard and ask him your tennis problems. He'll demonstrate an answer for you right here in the studio. This Whiz Quiz is sponsored by Tennis Lady, located on Madison Avenue between 65th and 66th Streets. You can always tell a Tennis Lady. And the prize is a gift from Tennis Lady. Whiz Quiz question is, what are the dimensions of a tennis court for singles and for doubles?
Well, the only thing I can say is that it's a pretty simple question. I hope someone wins it. One of the things I want to point out is that there are two dimensions that we're talking about. One is the inside dimensions for a singles court, and the other is a outside dimensions for a doubles court. Tennis Whiz Quiz? Yes.
I believe that would be 78 feet by 27 feet for singles.
Right.
And 78 feet by 36 feet for the doubles.
Right. Now, thank you for the answer. If you'll hold on, our technician will pick up and take care of you. Thank you again.
Thank you.
I want to get on to the tennis hotline section of the show. I had received a letter that the person had asked me which is the best way to stand when serving. Do you face the net? Do you face sideways? My suggestion to you is always try to have your shoulder directed in a direction that you want to send the ball. If you want to send the ball down the line, have your shoulder facing that way as you're starting, and then start from this position here. Now, as you drop your racket, of course, you're going to turn a little bit to get your shoulders into the shot. But when you're hitting the ball, when you come around and you end up and you hit the stroke, you are then facing towards the net and also looking at what you're doing, and then you're ending up. And as you follow through, you're coming around with this right leg like that. When you're starting, again, it's the shoulder here pointing at the individual or at the spot that you want to hit. The other thing I want to mention to you is again, the difference of the grips. I was talking to Arthur this morning. I asked him which grip he used. He uses what they call an Australian grip, which is neither a continental or an Eastern. The V of the hand is right in the center of the racket, and he uses this particular grip for both his forehand, his backhand, his volley, and his serve. So again, this is the Australian method of holding the racket. V of the hand in the center. When hitting a forehand, or when hitting backhand, or when serving. The other methods are continental, which is racket held upright. Again, the V of the hand in the middle, but the difference is the racket being held upright. And the other grip is the Eastern grip, which is on the side for the forehand, palm of the hand, and around this side for the backhand here. We have another call. Tennis Hotline.
Hi, I'd like to know what's the best way to get into position to hit the ball.
Okay, good enough. I'll demonstrate that. Thanks for calling in.
Right.
Basically, when you're ready to move for a ball, the first thing you do before the ball crosses the net is to try to decide where it's going to be, which side, forehand or backhand. And instead of just running at the ball this way, with your racket not being back, what you should try to do is first get in a sideways position, and then you move the left foot into place on the forehand if you're right-handed. On the backhand, it's the same thing. It's a swivel of the feet, getting the body sideways, so that you can lead off, if you're right-handed, with the right foot on the backhand. And also, even if you're running, it's the same thing. You pivot first, and then you might lead off and step with the right foot. It's very important to get sideways because it gets your racket back, and it gets your body in line to move with the ball. It's very basically the same as with the service. Most of tennis is played in a sideways position when you're volleying, when you're serving, when you're hitting an overhead, and also when you're hitting your ground strokes. I think that we should try to hop back to one of the commercials now. So Cynthia, I'll let you take it from here.
Tennis, we got a chance to really work out on these machines. I tell you, these ball machines really give you a chance to see what you're doing wrong. And then you can take lessons and learn how to do it really right. And besides, it's easy to come just about any time because they have a great nursery here. And that makes it a heck of a lot easier. And now I'm going to collapse in the lounge.
American Airlines has vacations that tennis buffs love. Vacations that offer unlimited playing, lessons, and clinics. If tennis isn't your only game, vacations offer swimming, golf, horseback riding, in fact, lots of things that are almost as fun as tennis. American will help you arrange a tennis vacation in a spot like Puerto Rico, California, Mexico, or New Mexico, to name a few. To make choosing easier, just pick up a copy of the American Airlines Great Tennis Resort folder at your travel agency. Helping you get the kind of tennis you like best is one of the things American Airlines does best. And now it's time for Whiz Quiz again, sponsored this time by Head Sportswear, whose outfits Richard has been wearing lately. The winner will receive a Head t-shirt from Cutler Owens, the shop in Rockefeller Center that supplies all your racket needs. You have 1 minute to answer the question, which is, when hitting an approach shot to the corners, what is the best position to take at the net for the return shot?
Okay, that's a tricky one. I'm going to stand by the blackboard so I can demonstrate the answer. One of the things to keep in mind when hitting any approach shot to the net is to make sure that you have all the angles covered the best way you can. And it's a very important strategy to know where to hit that ball. I think that the blackboard kind of gives everyone a clue as to what, here we go. Tennis Whiz Quiz. Well, that wasn't the answer. Okay, I think I'm going to just go ahead and demonstrate to someone how, where you should stand. If I were to serve from here, well, we have another telephone call. Tennis Whiz Quiz. Okay, if I were to serve from here and to this box here and come in, I would come in and then I would stand over here. If I were to hit a shot in the corner, I would stand in this position. I would stand closer to the sideline to prevent the person from hitting the ball in playing singles down here. If he hits the ball across the middle, I have enough reach on a tennis court to cover that. If I were to stand here, I really couldn't reach down the line. The angle over here, I would actually leave this space for him to hit to, because the net over here is higher than in the center of the court. And it's a very difficult angle to make, even if the person were on this side and I were coming in on an approach shot and I stood here. Again, hitting off the forehand of a right-handed person, it would still again be very difficult to make this angle because I could cover down the line and also cover the center of the court. I think that another variation of this is to hit the ball completely down the middle and come in directly down the middle so that the person again doesn't have a terrifically sharp angle. An error of this is if you were to hit a ball cross court and the person then goes down the line this way. And the more severe the angle of the shot, the better the chances of him having to pass you while you're at the net. Now we're going to go right on to the Ashe commercial, the Arthur Ashe interview that we taped this morning. It's a very interesting one, and I think you'll enjoy it. Be just a minute. The technicians will be getting it on. Try to keep in mind about the grip.
3 years since we sat down and talked.
Yes.
And, you know, I think back to the times when we were in our early teens, and we were both playing, you know, like sectional, regional,
ATA tournaments.
minor ATA tournaments, and I never knew that I would be so heavily involved myself at this age for so long in tennis, and I guess you're the same way. Did
Oh
you
no,
realize
when
that-
we were both in our early teens, neither one of us thought we'd be doing what we do today, no question.
When you were young, before you really started winning big titles, did you have another ambition? I mean, did you
Oh, I
become
would
a
have.
fireman?
I thought I would be a doctor or a lawyer, one of the two.
That's exactly what I thought it would be.
Right.
And
Still might be one day. I don't know.
yeah, well, you're young yet. Speaking about that, what are you going to do in 5 years? You going to still play semi-retirement?
Well, I'm 33 now. I'll play another 3, 4, 5 years, depending on how I feel and how motivated I am. Right now, I'm fairly well motivated. Getting ready to go play Davis Cup, as a matter of fact.
Where?
In Tucson, Arizona, against Mexico. And from then down to Australia. And then back to the U.S. in the middle of January to start the 77 Grand Prix Tour. I'm not playing WCT next year for the first time in 6 years.
I read something about you might sign with one of the networks as far as a commentator.
Yes, probably will.
That's going to curtail your playing, isn't it?
No, in fact, it's going to complement my playing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't plan to play as much as I played past years anyway. I think really I burned myself out a little bit past 2 years. I played awfully well, you know, having won WCT, Wimbledon, and a bunch of tournaments in the past 2 year period. But I think if you really want to last in this game, you can't play 35 weeks a year. You can't get greedy because the money's there, and you feel, well, if I can play another week, I'll win another $5,000.
I would imagine that according to what caliber player you are, there are certain tournaments you must make and certain ones that can't slide.
Right. You have to orient and guide your schedule around the major events, Wimbledon, Forest Hills, the French, or whatever else you deem important. And for me, they're those big titles, Davis Cup if we're still in, and the ATP events, Las Vegas, Palm Springs.
I take it that you're hoping to win Wimbledon again. And,
Yes, a good shot at that, another 2 or 3 years.
And what's the other grass court championship?
Australian Open, yes. Hope to do that in the next 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Boy. Arthur, getting on to how you grip the racket, because this is an informative, or supposed to be informative tennis show. Do you change grips?
I used to when I was a kid. I used to start with the Eastern forehand, which looks like that, with your hand on the side of the racket, obviously, and switch to the backhand, putting your hand on top of the racket like that. But now I use something in the middle. That V, I guess, that teachers think as being formed by your thumb and the first finger. I now just put it down the middle of the racket, basically, down here, and that's the way I hit forehands and backhands.
And serves and overhands.
Everything. I just changed my wrist position to hit various shots. I don't really
Nice.
change grips anymore. Although if I were advocating an approach for someone who's just starting the game, yes, I would say switch. But no, I don't switch anymore.
I noticed that certain players, like I was talking to Pancho a while back, and he says he actually will change his hand position on the racket for certain shots. At times.
Yeah, he does.
And that's something completely new to me. I didn't
Right.
know that players
That's
do
true.
that.
Well, I think you'll find as many variations in the approach to the game as there are tennis players. And there is no one way to play the game. I mean, the books and the tennis pros, whether they are USPTA qualified or not, they can only teach a general approach to the game, but no two people will learn to play the game the same way. It's impossible.
I kind of relate playing tennis in the style of the person to the person's handwriting.
Handwriting?
Yeah, it's just no two are exactly alike.
Oh, I see. As far as the variability of it.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
everybody
Yes.
can read everyone else's writing, but
Right.
for them to conform precisely, they're not.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
I agree completely, yes.
Arthur, I notice you have a great number of statues, etchings, paintings. Do you take an interest in art? Do you collect it?
I do, not seriously. If I see something I like, I'll get it. Yes, I mean, this piece I bought in West Africa.
That's a very interesting grain on there. I don't know whether the TV audience can see it, but it looks
Yes.
like it's some sort of heavy, oh God, it's like a Brazilian.
Yes. It looks sort of South Americanish, you're right, with an African flavor, but I bought this in Nigeria, and this is airport art. This doesn't really amount to much. It's just something for decoration. This I bought in Copenhagen. I just thought it was rather interesting because it's two naked figures, one black and one white.
Yeah, that is
they're
cute.
eating fruit between them.
That's cute.
Yeah.
What is the picture back here? It says to Arthur.
Yes, this is a picture of that I took with this kid on a public park in Nairobi, in Kenya, and on a State Department tour. And the photographers that were traveling with Stan Smith and myself on the tour had it developed, enlarged to this 8x10, and Secretary of State then William Rogers signed it for me. That's all there is. Yes.
What's your impression about the tennis in Africa, and especially Southern Africa? Did you meet any up-and-coming black players there?
Not really, no. Any black players who are going to make it on the world scene now, they've got to come from the U.S. or Europe. There are a couple of black European players. Both are French. Well, they're not really French. One is Bill Goodrella, who's from New Caledonia, in the South Pacific, but he plays with the French Davis Cup team.
Yeah, he was sort of a threat a couple of years back.
He's a good player, but he didn't stick with it, and now he's teaching in Paris. And then there's another kid, again on the State Department tour, whom Stan and I saw in 1970. His name is Yannick Noah, and he is half French and half Cameroonian. His mother's French, his father's from the Cameroons. He, at the time, was 9 years old. Now he is 15, and he's living in Paris, and I think he will be the next good player. He's quite good.
Let me ask you, of all the people who played tennis down through the ages, who do you think was the best player as far as male?
Well, as far as I can tell, of the ones that I've seen, Gonzalez and Laver win hands down. There's just no contest.
People say Tilden. I've never seen Tilden. I've seen him in movies.
Yeah, well, everybody, I guess, over 50 will say Tilden or Budge. Certainly not Riggs, but Riggs would be right up there, but he didn't have the power. He was a master on a clay court. But then again, if you throw in things like the level of competition in those days, if you were to get the draw sheets from Forest Hills 1927, I think, or 1938, when Budge won the Grand Slam.
Right, 38.
38. If you look at the draw sheet then, Budge breezed to the quarterfinals, maybe losing 12 games in 3 or 4 matches. That's all.
I just want to mention to the audience that I've been looking a follower of the U.S. Open for about 15 years, and the level of competition down in early first, second rounds has gotten to be phenomenally difficult.
Unbelievable.
A lot of players that would have gotten to the third round 10 years ago can't qualify now.
That's right, they are qualifying.
How many qualifying matches do they have now? 2, I believe, just to enter into the first round of the Opens.
I think you have to have a sectional or if you're not American, a very high national ranking to even get into the qualifying, which is held at various places around here, most of which I think at Port Washington Tennis Academy, Long Island. I think there are 16 qualifiers. I think they start with the draw of 128, and you have to win 3 matches.
It's really, I think it just goes to show you that the number of tennis players have increased substantially, and the number of serious tennis players have magnified, and of course the transportation is much more of a factor in getting people here quickly now than it was in 1938. And I think that's a couple of reasons why. Arthur, I want to thank you for us joining you here in your home, and it's quite interesting, it's quite varied. And, good luck on your Australian championship.
Don't make it another 4 years before I see you again.
I hope not. I think we're going to get together and have a party soon.
Okay.
I want to wish Ashe a lot of luck because he's just recovered from a bone spur heel operation a few weeks ago, and he's going to be playing Davis Cup against Mexico out in Arizona. One of the things I want to point out before we close tonight is a pitfall that I don't want you to get into, and that's sticking your elbow out on your backhand. This is probably the biggest cause of tennis elbow there is, and that simply is hitting the ball like this, so that you're locking this and also causing tremendous strain. And the elbow should be fairly close to the body, and then the stroke should be from the shoulder completely from the arm this way. So you're swinging more from the shoulder this way as opposed just from the elbow. Now this is, people feel they just don't have enough time to get the racket completely back to take a big swing like that. But it's all again in the pivot, in the turn, and not just approaching the ball this way and snapping your wrist. The other thing that I want to point out is that a few weeks ago, we talked about lights right into the commissioner, and that's at the Parks Commissioner Davidson, and thanks for tuning in. We will be with you in the weeks to come, and I hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. Good night. Thank you.